The Fairy and the Hare. A young hare once lived in a small forest, between a mountain, a village, and a river. Many hares run through the heather and the moss, but none as sweet as him. 3 friends he had, a jackal, a water weasel, and a monkey. After the long day's toil, searching for food, they came together at evening, all 4, to talk and think. The handsome hare spoke to his 3 companions and taught them many things. And they listened to him and learned to love all the creatures of the woods, and they were very happy. "My friends," said the hare one day, "let us not eat tomorrow, but the food we find in the day we will give to any poor creatures we meet." This they all agreed to, and the next day, as every day, they started out at dawn to search for food. The jackal found in a village a piece of meat and a jar of curdled milk with a rope tied to each handle. 3 times he cried aloud, "Whose is this meat? Whose is this curdled milk?" But the hut was empty, and hearing no answer, he put the piece of meat in his mouth and the rope of the jar around his neck, and away he fled into the forest. And laying them at his side, he thought, "What a good jackal I am! Tomorrow I shall eat what I have found, if no one comes this way." And what did the little water weasel find on his rounds? A fisherman had caught some sparkling golden fish, and after hiding them under the sand, he returned to the river to catch more. But the water weasel found the hiding place, and, after taking the fish out of the sand, he called 3 times, "Whose are these golden fish?" But the fisherman heard only the rippling of the river, and none answered his call. So he took the fish into the forest to his little home, and thought, "What a good water weasel I am! These fish I shall not eat today, but perhaps another day." Meanwhile, Monkey Friend had climbed the mountain, and, finding some ripe mangoes, he carried them down into the woods, and putting them under a tree, he thought, "What a good monkey I am!" But the hare lay in the grass in the woods, and his beautiful eyes were moist with sadness. "What can I offer? If any poor creature should pass by the way," he thought, "I cannot offer grass, and I have neither rice nor nuts to give." But suddenly he leaped with joy. "If someone comes this way," he thought, "I shall give him myself to eat." Now, in the sweet little wood lived a fairy with butterfly wings and long hair of moonlit rays. Her name was Saka. She knew everything that took place in the wood. She knew if a small ant had stolen from another ant. She knew the thoughts of all the little creatures, even the poor little flowers trampled over in the grass. And she knew that day that the 4 friends in the wood were not eating, and that any food they might find was to be given to any poor creatures they might meet. And so Saka changed herself into an old beggar man. Bent over, walking with a stick, she went first to the jackal and said, "I have walked for days and weeks, and have had nothing to eat. I have no strength to search for food. Pray, give me something, O jackal." "Take this piece of meat and this jar of curdled milk," said the jackal. "I stole it from a hut in the village, but it is all I have to give." "I will see about it later," said the beggar, and she went on through the shady trees. Then Saka met the water weasel and asked, "What have you to give me, little one?" "Take these fish, O beggar, and rest a while beneath the trees," answered the water weasel. "Another time," the beggar replied, and passed on through the woods. A little further, Saka met the monkey and said, "Give me your fruits, I pray. I am poor and starved and weary." "Take all these mangoes," said the monkey. "I plucked them all for you." "Some other time," replied the beggar, and did not stay. Then Saka met the hare and said, "Sweet one of the mossy woods, tell me, where can I find food? I am lost within the forest and far away from home." "I will give you myself to eat," replied the hare. "Gather some wood and make a fire. I will jump into the flames, and you shall then have the flesh of a little hare." Saka caused magic flames to rise from some logs of wood, and full of joy the hare jumped into the glowing fire. But the flames were as cool as water and did not burn his skin. "Why is it," he said to Saka, "I do not feel the flames? The sparks are as fresh as the dew of the dawn." Saka then changed himself into her fairy form again and spoke to the hare in a voice sweeter than any voice he had ever heard. "Dear one," she said, "I am the fairy Saka. This fire is not real. It is only a test. The kindness of your heart, O Blessed One, shall be known throughout the world for ages to come." So saying, Saka struck the mountain with her wand, and, with the essence which gushed forth, she drew the picture of the hare on the orb of the moon. Next day the hare met his friends again, and all the creatures of the woods gathered round them, and the hare told them of all that had happened to him, and they rejoiced, and all lived happily ever after.